You're the weight on my wings, Aaron. I can't keep living like this. That's what she said while I was under the sink with a headlamp and a basin wrench, stopping a stubborn leak before it rotted the cabinet. Same hands that had signed mortgage papers and patched gutters and moved us 3 times into better spaces. Apparently, now the hands strangling her potential. My name is Aaron Whitaker. I'm 41, an operations manager at a regional distribution firm in Columbus, Ohio. I've been married to Lena for 11 years. I always thought I understood the deal. I'd carry the boring, heavy parts of life so she could chase the bright ones. Lately, boring and heavy sounded a lot like me. I slid the wrench back into my toolbox and looked up. Lena stood in the doorway in the slate leggings I'd bought for her acting intensive, arms folded, chin lifted like a closing argument. She didn't look angry. She looked convinced. "What exactly am I holding you back from?" I asked. "Everything," she said, her voice soft but rehearsed. "I should be in Los Angeles, not stuck here meal planning and folding towels. I'm meant to be auditioning for real roles, not chasing community theater cast boards." She gestured at our kitchen like it was a cage. The faucet I'd just fixed ran smooth for the first time in months, water like glass. Some things, when you tune them right, stay tuned. People are louder. I wiped my hands on a towel. "Freedom," she'd said last week. "I need freedom." The word kept circling our house like a hawk. Freedom from groceries. Freedom from dinner schedules. Freedom from asking me, the guy paying for everything, to pay for one more workshop. Maybe she expected a debate. I was too tired for that. "Maybe you're right," I said. Her eyebrows lifted. She'd been braced for resistance, not agreement. "Maybe it is time you had that freedom." That night, I lay in the bed I'd bought with a year-end bonus and listened to the slow rhythm of a life I'd built for 2. Air vents whispering, the refrigerator cycling, a car passing on High Street in the wet. I thought about a promise I made when we got married, that I would make our home safe, stable, and generous. I also remembered the emails I shouldn't have seen, but did. A string to a manager based in LA. Subject line, "Next steps when I break free." The next morning, I started my own next steps. I called my lawyer first. He's meticulous to the point of unlikable, which is exactly what you want when your life is about to be audited. I called the bank second. Then I opened a new spreadsheet and did what logistics people do when the freight is delicate and the destination matters. I traced the entire route. Receipts timeline. This is not legal advice. 11 years of mortgage statements paid solely from my direct deposits. 2 vehicles purchased with my cash down and my financing. Titles in my name. Investment accounts opened before marriage. Contributions documented. No spousal commingling. Household utilities auto-paid from my accounts. Lena had user cards, not ownership. Acting classes. 23,670 over 5 years. Headshots reels, 8,940. Coaching intensives, $6,200, all paid by me. Emails, screenshots, to a LA talent manager dated 3 months back. I'm itching to be free of my current situation. Notes app log I kept for myself when things started feeling off. Missed dinners, last-minute workshop fees. Her words, freedom, stifled. Domestic limits, with dates. Policies differ by state, but our council's summary was plain. Document what's separate, keep it separate, and don't say anything you can't prove. Quiet power lives in paperwork. Again, this is not legal advice. By Friday, my lawyer had packaged the file. By Saturday, I had a small, clean apartment lined up near the office. A 1-bedroom with enough morning light to feel like a switch flipped inside your chest. I signed the lease before lunch. Saturday afternoon, I stood in our living room with a folder and told the truth. "I thought about what you said," I began. "About freedom?" she asked, eyes bright, a smile already forming like sunshine through clouds. About freedom, I said. You should have it. She inhaled in relief. Aaron, thank you. Finally. I've been talking to a coach in Studio City. We can sell the house, sublet something for 6 months out there, and I'm giving you freedom from me, I said. Calm. From this house. From everything that has been, in your words, holding you back. I'm moving out tomorrow. The smile collapsed like a stage set. Moving out? I'll transfer the auto pays off the utilities, cancel your user card, and remove shared passwords. You wanted freedom from domestic obligations. You'll have it. She stared at the folder like it might bite. You can't just leave me with nothing. I'm leaving you with exactly what you've contributed financially to this house, I said, not unkind. Your talent, your dreams, and your freedom. That night at a cheap hotel off Broad, I ate takeout lo mein and watched the news. My phone pulsed on the nightstand for an hour. On the 6th call, I answered. You need to come home, Lena said without hello. Panic thinned her voice. We can't do this. We already are, I said. You asked for freedom. Not like this, she snapped. Then softer. I meant rebalancing. You take more of the home responsibilities while I focus on building momentum. Maybe a cleaner. Maybe you cook more. So your freedom meant me doing more, I said. That's not. She cut herself off. Look, the bank said I can't access the checking account. They told me my name isn't on it. It isn't. Never was. You had a user card tied to my account. Silence. Then, the house, in my name. I bought it before we married and refinanced in year 3 on my credit, my income, my deed. You planned this. I planned to keep shouldering everything while you pursued your dream, I said. But when you started describing my support as a cage and my presence as a limitation, I planned to stop. She exhaled a raw sound. I'll get a lawyer. You should speak to one, I said. Ask about equitable distribution and separate property. Ask how it plays out when one spouse holds the titles and the relevant documentation. And ask what it costs to retain counsel with no funds. Again, ask a professional. This is not legal advice. She started to cry, not the pretty tears. The ugly, shocked ones that strip whatever makeup you thought a situation was wearing. I let the silence fill the room like cold water. I'm not doing this to hurt you, Lena, I said finally. I'm doing this to stop hurting both of us. 2 days later, the lights at the house blinked off. I'd removed the auto pays. The accounts were mine. I no longer lived there. She called from the dark. You shut off the electricity? I removed my automatic payments on my accounts, I said. Call the utility and open a new account in your name. I don't have money for a deposit. That is what freedom requires, I said. A plan. Aaron, I get it now, she said quickly. I was ungrateful. I can change. What would you contribute? I asked. Right now, tangibly. I'll get a job. You could have done that any time in the last decade, I said gently. You chose not to because I made it optional. I looked around my new place. A table for one, 2 plates. Silence that didn't feel empty. It felt honest. The process server delivered the papers a week later while she was at a callback. Nothing dramatic. No raised voices or tears on a lawn. Just a man in a windbreaker. A few crisp pages. Her signature for receipt. She called me as soon as he left. Divorce, she said. The word like a chipped tooth. You're divorcing me? I'm formalizing what you asked for, I said. Freedom from the domestic life that suffocated you. This petition seeks full ownership of all assets. It seeks legal recognition of what already exists. Those assets are mine. I purchased and maintained them. You're going to leave me with nothing after 11 years? She asked, breath hitching. You're abandoning me. I thought of the email to the LA manager. I need to be free of my domestic situation. I thought of the Instagram captions about choosing yourself, posted from a kitchen I scrubbed at midnight and a bathroom where I'd recocked the tub. I thought of the ledger that never balanced, not in dollars, not in thanks. No, I said. I'm leaving you with exactly what you said you wanted, your freedom. There's a cost. There always was. I've just been paying it. Weeks stretched. My lawyer spoke with hers once, then not again. She must have realized that fairness isn't a line in a spreadsheet. Documentation is. She moved out of the house, my house, before the month's end. I paid to change the locks, not out of spite, but out of closure. In the quiet after, I cataloged the strange mix of feelings people have when they set down a weight they've carried too long. Relief is loud. Regret is a whisper. Anger flares and goes. Gratitude. Yes, gratitude arrives late, sits in the best chair, and refuses to leave. I cooked for one. I slept without listening for a front door. At 1:12 a.m., after workshop drinks, I stopped checking a card app to make sure there was enough cushion for last-minute class fees. The apartment began to look like a life instead of a waiting room. If you're still with me, tap subscribe and hit like. It tells me to keep sharing stories like this. The final hearing took 10 minutes on a gray Tuesday. No theatrics. The court noted records, titles, and timelines. Counsel stipulated to the documents. The judge signed. It was also ordinary. 2 signatures and a quiet end to a decade of loud trying. When I stepped outside, High Street smelled like wet concrete and espresso. A cyclist cut through a puddle. Someone laughed across the way. The world refused to make my drama its weather, and that felt right. Friends sent little updates months later. Lena had moved back to her parents' place in the Memphis suburbs. She picked up shifts waiting tables at the same diner where she'd once circled auditions in a newspaper. Without the classes and coaching, the roles dried up, or maybe the grind did. People's compassion is big, but hometowns remember. She posted less. When she did, it was inspirational quotes on a plain background, the kind you print and tape to a mirror when the house is quiet. As for me, I bought a small place on the edge of town. Nothing flashy. 2 bedrooms, a maple tree that throws perfect shade at 4 in the afternoon, a garage that smells like cedar when it rains. I planted tomatoes even though I don't like tomatoes. I like the discipline of care. A woman from the warehouse team waved at me when I carried paint inside one night. Her name is Naomi, and she laughs with her whole face. We exchanged numbers after arguing about whether dust-free rollers are a scam. It felt simple. I want simple. I think about Lena sometimes. It would be tidy to say I feel nothing anymore, that the ledger zeroed and the story filed itself under lessons. The truth is messier and kinder. I hope she learns the difference between freedom and sponsorship, between support and servitude, between a partner and a patron. I hope she figures out what she actually wants when there's no one left to blame for providing it. And I learned this. A marriage can survive failure, hunger, and storms if both people keep moving the furniture back into place after the water recedes. What it cannot survive is contempt disguised as ambition. Not from the world, ambition is fine. From each other. If you're carrying a house on your back so someone else can feel weightless, check whether they've thanked you or just stopped seeing you. If they stop seeing you, give them what they asked for, not what they assumed you'd keep giving. Freedom is heavy when you have to lift it yourself. One last thing, because the internet loves to argue law. Your state's rules may be different. Speak to a qualified attorney before you act. This is not legal advice. The night I moved into the new house, I left the boxes in the hallway and sat on the floor of the empty living room. The maple tree wrote slow shadows on the wall. Somewhere in the neighborhood, a dog barked once and stopped. I had the strangest sense I'd walked into a version of my life I'd been building for years, without knowing it. Not punishment. Not revenge. Just a room that finally sounded like me. I stood up, stretched, and turned off the light. In the dark, a sentence arrived that fit like a key. I didn't abandon her. I stopped abandoning myself.